Hey there, this is Mary Agnes Antonopoulos, and I am Kelli Richards' producer on Blog Talk Radio. Kelli's channel is All Access Radio, and we're very excited that you're all here. This show, this podcast, is reaching its 1 millionth download during the summer, and we're very excited about that. Today, I will be interviewing our host, Kelli Richards. Kelli is the CEO of the All Access Group, and she's the host of All Access Radio. She has spent 20 years creating innovative alliances in the digital media industry and driving the convergence of music and entertainment and technology between major content companies, tech companies, and established musicians and celebrities. And that is only one part of her brand, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. All the amazing and exciting things that All Access Group is doing, all the people they're touching, all the lives they're changing, and how Kelli sees her company moving forward. So welcome, Kelli.
Thank you, M.A. What a wonderful welcome.
Well, thanks. It's really exciting to see everything happening at the All Access Group and all the marvelous projects you have underway.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. It's a busy time, and we're excited about it.
It is a busy time. Let's just jump in the Wayback Machine for like 2 seconds and set some context for our listeners. You've gotten so many new listeners as this show has unfolded. It would be great if they knew where you came from, I think. So could you share just a little bit about, what you did at Apple and what happened when you started your own company?
Sure. Well, I started off my career as a young executive at a major record label, and then spent 10 years launching and running the music and entertainment focus at Apple, which obviously gave me a great perspective on a lot of innovation that was going on, a lot of models that were going to get disrupted, new technologies. I was there at a very good time in terms of what was happening in Silicon Valley and the media industries both at the same time and all the disruption that was occurring. So when I left Apple, and it's been 15 years now, I started my own company to work at the intersection of media, technology, and advertising as all of those worlds were shifting and converging, and really working primarily day-to-day with the brightest innovators and entrepreneurs and luminaries that were in my network, and I was fortunate enough to have a chance to support their success. So that's how I spend my days, is cross-pollinating opportunities with really bright people.
Let's talk about some of the amazing people that you've worked with. I mean, first of all, amazing musicians, leaders in technology, and then business leaders. And let's use that as a stepping stone into some of the great business projects that you've been focused on for the last year or two.
Sure. Well, for starters, I was very fortunate to have a chance to work with Steve Jobs during my time at Apple, and what a great inspirational leader and mentor to have the privilege of having a chance to work with. Kind of like working with Einstein, for those people that had that chance. And also had a chance to build a company with Todd Rundgren, the very innovative rock star that has reinvented himself consistently over a 40-plus-year career. He just turned 65 this last week. And, those people were especially close. I've worked with so many artists, hundreds of them, over a 25-year career, that I have a hard time just picking names out. And the same on the technology side. I've worked with some of the brightest entrepreneurs you could imagine, especially in the music tech space. And I'm not great at name dropping, M.A., so it's hard for me just to pull names out of...
I know, it's the truth, right? Well, that speaks to your humility and all the great work that you've done. I mean, I think, I could start listing off a few for you. Irene Cara, Davy Jones.
Yeah, Paul McCartney.
I mean,
Seinfeld,
huge
yeah.
names. Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Roger Hodgson, the lead singer of Supertramp.
Yeah.
I mean, just some huge names in music. Let's talk about some of the huge names in business because, musicians, all of us, if we don't think of our brand as a business, we get into a lot of trouble. And that's where people come to you for mentoring and sort of very, very high-thinking solutions to their situations, whether it be a musician looking to digitalize or a small business looking to fund or, even huge entrepreneurs looking to segue into new brands. So tell about, if you're able to, if you're at liberty to discuss some of the great business leaders you've worked with recently. That'd be awesome.
Well, unfortunately, most of the innovative leaders I've worked with are not necessarily household names. It's not Richard Branson. It's more like Zach Zallen, or who created Radio Free Virgin and Virgin Digital for Richard Branson. So they're widely recognized names within the industries, within tech or entertainment or music, but not to the lay person listening. Ty Roberts is another great example, the founder of Grace Note. But I've been privileged to have a couple of world-class leaders, thought leaders, and authors as my personal mentors and coaches. And as a coach myself, I can tell you it's absolutely critical to work with the best mentors and coaches you possibly can find. And the two that I was lucky enough to get are at the top of their game. One is Alan Weiss, who is the $1 Million Consultant, has published 50 books, one of the most sought-after, highly paid consultants in the world. And he has personally informed my thinking and my business approaches repeatedly in the time that we've worked together. And Alan Cohen, on the other side, is a leader in transformational coaching and personal expansion, evolution, one of these really bright minds in this spiritual self-help space. He's also published probably close to 30 books and coaches a great many innovators and world leaders himself personally, in addition to training people like me and mentoring me. So I'm privileged to have people like that in my circle. But, I just went to an event last week, for example, a business networking event at the highest level in Silicon Valley. So it was a who's who, people like the CTO of Cisco, Padma Warrior, Heidi Roizen, and Ann Winblad, who are two of the only female venture capitalists that are out there, Ann herself being a very successful entrepreneur, Heidi being a very successful entrepreneur. People like Ray Kurzweil were there. So these are the kind of people I like to spend time with. They're at the top of their game. They're innovative. They're market leaders. And they've got something to offer the rest of us that will bring the best out in each of us.
It's amazing that you mentioned Alan Cohen, because I know one of the projects sort of on the deck to be worked out this year to be launched early next year is a book that you two intend to write together. And he's such a prolific writer. I think he has a great audience, and they are going to really resonate with your book. Would you talk about that project a little bit?
Yeah, well, we've been doing, Mary Agnes and I, for listeners, have been working on books that I publish at least once a year for the last several years. And the new one that we are coming out with this year is called, the working title is The Ripple Effect. We haven't quite perfected the final title or the subtitle yet. But the notion of it is, in coaching and mentoring, you have a ripple effect on the people you work with directly, because you're not just helping them to have a better life themselves and to shift their productivity and their thinking and what they do in the world, but as a result, they create ripples around themselves, and each person that seeks the benefit of coaching benefits everybody in his or her network and circle, family, friends, colleagues, whoever they touch. And so coaching and mentoring is very powerful, and that's the point we're making. It's not just the people that are served directly, but it's the people that are served indirectly as a result. And people have often asked me over the years, M.A., why I like to work with luminaries in either tech or entertainment, music. And the reason is because individually they have a ripple effect on so many people. So I think it was like a calling at a young age when I realized I could make a difference in that way because I'm a natural coach and a mentor. Yeah. Before I got my certification, just having that realization, I wanted to work with people that I could create great leverage with, that in working with each of them, what we did together would be magnified times 10 or 100 within the networks that they have access to and they influence directly. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I was just thinking the other thing that happens with people at that level is they don't just dream big, they actually actualize things. They make things actually happen.
All of that's half of the work we do together. It's not just the coaching and mentoring and talking through things. It's actually my encouraging them to put their visions into reality. They would anyway. They're high achievers. But
That's right.
the twist in working with me is because I'm a so-called super connector, often I can help them create connections they otherwise would never be able to get on their own or don't think they can. And even just a simple example of that, when Steve Jobs was alive, and I was working with Jerry Seinfeld to have him at John Chambers' request, the CEO of Cisco, come and perform for Cisco employees. Jerry asked me, could I create an introduction to Steve Jobs for him, which I did happily. And I believe they had a chance to meet before Steve passed. And I don't think Jerry would have necessarily reached out. He certainly could have, but he asked for me to make that connection for him. And that was a great gift on my part, a gift for all three of us involved, I think.
I'm sure, because Jerry is a very high thinker also in his own way and super creative.
Right.
Let's talk about those connections for a minute. You know, I always tell people, like, the best connector I've ever worked with is Kelli, and, you know, I'm forever encouraging people to join the all-access mastermind that you run, just because if for no other reason that they get access to you, your mighty Rolodex, and your, you know, being a connector isn't just somebody with a great Rolodex, it's also someone with the insights and the sensitivity to know what the connections need to be. So,
and what they'll mean to both sides, yeah.
What they'll mean to both sides. There's a very creative thinker who would say, well, wait a minute, that's not really what you need. You need to talk to blank because they have this project in the works. So that's a super connector.
Yeah, and I literally spend my days thinking like that, is creating connections and opportunities for people that are probably a bigger vision than they have on their own. And that's really a gift that I have that I'm especially pleased to have been given, is this ability to dwell in possibility and think outside the box and think very quickly and creatively, but also very deliberately about what the right connections are between two people or two organizations that could really make a difference for both sides.
You know, when we talk about the All Access Mastermind, let's focus on that for a minute, because that's been a new project this year, something you've worked on for several years to develop, and you've sort of rolled it out in a beta way where it's a very intimate group, very focused on what the individual's outcomes are, what they define success to be. Share about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's actually called the Inner Circle, a mastermind group, and we call it that for a reason. It's very intimate. It's people that I've personally approved to be a part of the group because I think they'd be a good fit with each other and with me. And so it's not for everyone. It's a bit of a closed group. It's open to anyone who wants to apply, but it's really a hand-picked group of folks that I think really care about looking at what's working in their lives and what's not, what they want to create more of, what they need accountability for to actually make things happen that they've said they've wanted to do for a long time but haven't done. You know, people need accountability. They really do, because life gets busy and people are pulled in 20 different directions. And if you're not careful, 5-10 years have gone by, and the dream you once had for what you wanted to do with your life and how you wanted to spend your time is still sitting on a shelf. And, you know, life's too short for that. We need to actually make sure that we've got really healthy relationships and that we're doing the work that we're called to do, and we're doing what we love to do every day. We're living our passion. And these aren't platitudes. What we do in Inner Circle is we actually help people identify and make those things happen in a pretty quick period of time. They might have suffered or ignored things for years, and the program runs 6 months at a time, and we try to make sure everybody has truly transformative experiences at the end of the 6-month period, that what they said they wanted to achieve actually happened. And, you know, they can pivot off that to create the next, you know, tiers of where they're headed in their life.
That group also, because you've handpicked the people and you've really sort of mentored the group, not just the individuals, what happens in that mastermind is that they also become super connectors for one another. So it feels like
they do. It's the power not just of working with me, but with each other that is just incredibly amazing to witness. And it's not just that we work on individual goals. I also share a lot of best practices And some of the most powerful books, I think, can help them transform in what they're trying to do. And furthermore, each of them working with me directly does have access, as you said earlier, to my network of a really broad and deep network of contacts that could individually make a difference for each of them. Just one connection could make all the difference in what they're trying to achieve. And
a project or a job search or anything, really.
Something that they're trying to complete. And not only do we come up with out-of-the-box thinking for them and bigger ideas than they could by themselves, we help unstick them if they're stuck, but we also make available those connections that they otherwise wouldn't have access to that could make all the difference.
One of the cooler projects that you have going right now involves some really great Irish businessmen. Are you at liberty to discuss that project and just share, maybe not who they are, maybe not specifics of what they're working on, but just what are the exciting pieces of it, or whatever you're able to share?
This is a great scenario where the networking happens not just from me, but back to me. And, my business is very referral-based. And someone approached me from a group called the U.S. Market Access Center associated with San Jose State just 2 weeks ago, a gentleman I'd not met before. And he kind of this is the power of LinkedIn. He reached out to me over LinkedIn and said, I've got these two companies. They both happen to be based in Dublin, Ireland, in town, and I think they're a perfect fit for what you do. Would you be willing to make time to meet with the CEOs from each of these two companies? And, of course, I made time. I said yes without hesitation, because each of the two companies is in a historical sweet spot for me, which is music technology. One of them is about enabling big artists to crowdsource new material, new songs that would include brilliant guitarists or singers or drummers from around the world. Unknown artists will have a chance to complete the piece of a song, video record themselves, and then the best of each of those individual players will win a chance to complete the song with the actual artist. That's one. The other company is basically focused on enabling when fans are at concerts, and you're not supposed to video record the show, but people do it all the time anyway. So it's a way to legitimize that happening, and you're going to have lousy sound coming out of your phone. So what they do is they map the video footage that a fan took from a particular vantage point at a concert. They map that video footage with the actual recording coming out of the soundboard at the concert for the most pristine sound quality. And then they meld together the best of those video elements from a given show where somebody might have been on the side of the stage where the keyboard was, somebody was by the drummer, somebody had the best shot of the singer, and they meld all of that together and create the best of video footage from the fan perspective and make that available for the artist to monetize and for more fans to experience those concerts. So these kind of disruptive, innovative experiences involving content and talent and new technologies are what I get most excited about. And besides which, I love working with Irish and Australian and British people. They're so much fun to work with. They've got a great attitude. They've got a hard work ethic, and they don't give up. They get the job done.
What other projects are you working on right now that you have sort of in the Bunsen burner state, where they're still being...
Yeah, there's different stages of what these projects are right now, M.A. I'm co-managing a band that's like a Pan-Asian Spice Girls called Blush. These girls were hand-chosen from different countries in Asia, kind of like American Idol. And they're a wonderful band. They're at blushband.com if anybody listening wants to check them out. And then I'm involved with helping a bunch of startups secure the next round of investment from different people that might be interested in putting money into their ventures. Typically, these are high net worth or institutions that are investing in new ventures, and I'm very well connected with those kind of people too. So these kind of projects range from all the way from a new kind of salad dressing and a kind of next generation Spanx to make sure women always have the size that they want in a given clothing item. They don't have to try things on and deal with returns as much as they used to.
Hey,
and then
that's
all
nice.
the way to all the way to funding the development of a luxury resort. So it's really all over the map.
Talk about the funding for the luxury resort for a minute. I would think that's way far outside of what you do, but of course, funding also comes way back to connections and spotting those powerful connections and creative connections for people.
Yeah, again, the worlds are blurring. I have a very strong connection with the investors out of Sand Hill Road in New York that invest in disruptive, innovative startups. And in addition to a bunch of high net worth colleagues that have done well with startups in business in general, or celebrities who are now becoming investors. And they're looking for opportunities that people like myself who see a lot of different deals can vet for them and present with my credibility and my track record for them to take a look at and consider the possibility of investing. And so more and more I'm being asked to do that kind of thing. I'm also, for example, shopping a TV series on how people can become high net worth individuals, just lay people in different walks of life, and helping to fund the development of a documentary film on hope.
Yeah.
And helping get off the ground a brand new class of sports called World Moto Clash, which motorcycle racing is very, very lucrative, and all kinds of celebrities love to ride motorcycles, and it's just a very glamorous, lucrative space that's yet to be tapped. So that's something else I'm being asked to help get investment for. So because my network is so broad and deep, believe it or not, I can tackle all kinds of projects.
World Moto Clash, that's another one that's like you would feel like it's so far off the beam, except it's just this exciting new creative space. And
yeah, what's not off the beam is it's the same common thread of the people that might want to get involved. People that are really accomplished and bright and successful, financially and otherwise, are looking for stimulating things to get behind. And I just happen to have a lot of those people in my network, which forms the core of what I do every day with this super connecting and cross-pollinating of ideas and opportunities. That's what's changing in my business. It's moving from really being heavily focused on purely the digital music and media entertainment space to really the common thread is innovation that's happening in all walks of life, and people with big visions that need big connections to generate big results. That's frankly the tagline for my company. Big connections, or big visions, big connections, big results. So I'm taking it up a notch. I'm connecting people in different ways, in different fields, and that's the outward connections. In the coaching and the mentoring, I'm creating interconnections for people as well as those outward connections to allow them to transform.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the one-day, you're going to have one-day immersion events, and that is just a fantastic way for the everyman, all of us who maybe couldn't afford access to you or, perhaps wouldn't have the right sort of, creative energies for higher-end projects, but still have a lot of creative projects in the, the everyman sort of field. I mean,
yeah, well,
great.
People have approached me over time, MA, to coach them or mentor them, and I've had to turn a lot of people away because, believe it or not, I didn't have the right structure to support their needs, and one size does not fit all.
Right.
So we have started this Inner Circle Mastermind group for people that want to work for 6 months at a reasonably affordable rate that's an investment for them and their future, and they have the benefit of working with other people besides just me that are really bright and have great connections and are out-of-the-box thinkers in their own right. And then we do have this VIP immersion day, which is me spending, a day or a half day with somebody, kind of fast-tracking what they say they want. So it's a lot of brainstorming about, they tell me what they want to achieve, they're working on a specific challenge or opportunity or an issue, in whatever part of their life it is, relationship, career, what have you, health, and we just get to the heart of the matter very quickly, very succinctly, as if I'm a doctor performing surgery. and we carve out a broad strokes blueprint for what they're going to do to address their challenge. We brainstorm all kinds of opportunities and solutions and connections, and they leave at the end of the day feeling like they are much more, they have a plan. They have a plan. They know what to do to start working on that plan. And then hopefully I can help them in a little bit more of an ongoing, deeper way. Once we know that that's where we kickstart things in that VIP immersion day, then hopefully they'll want to work with me for 6 months or a year or longer, depending on what they're working on, to really dive deep and have me hold them accountable and come up with more of the detailed tactics of how they're going to achieve what we carved out on a broad basis in that one day. And that's the high-end work that I do one-on-one with people, where I am working typically for a year, sometimes 6 months, and really delving deep with someone to be sure they're fully supported in achieving exactly what they want.
You know, it's funny, in the corporate world, we all have that. We have managers and teams and coaches, you know, of sorts, to hold us accountable and to help us move forward and to spot the roadblocks, help us move past them. And in the entrepreneurial world, you know, we stand there and wonder why we can't move anything forward, but it's because we literally don't go out and hire our own managers and, you know, our own experts to move us past those roadblocks. So I feel like this is exactly what many, many, many small entrepreneurs or even mid-sized entrepreneurs need.
Yeah, exactly. And even the so-called luminaries and innovators on the other end of the spectrum that are very successful, high achievers, they need that too. They need to work with someone they can trust. Their own existing business team typically doesn't go as far as what we're talking about. We're going pretty deep in the work that I do with these folks. So, it really does work regardless of where you are on the spectrum. There's something we can do to support what you're trying to achieve.
Well, Kelli, this has been really, really enlightening even for me, and I'm part of your team because over the past 2.5, 3 years that we've worked together, I mean, your brand has, like many, many people, you know, when you stand on that edge of, you know, what's the disruptor's edge, things shift really quickly in someone's brand because things are always disrupting, erupting, move forward, disrupt,
and
erupt,
evolving,
move forward. Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely always evolving. So this has been a really great interview, and you know, I look forward. You are a core member of my team. For anybody listening who doesn't understand that by now, I don't know if there could be anybody listening that doesn't get that. You know, you're indispensable to my team, and you've been able to help shape a lot of the thought leadership stuff I've done in the last couple of years, and that's a secret that I share with a lot of the people I work with. Is you can't do it alone. Everybody needs to have people to support what their visions are to make them actually happen. So I'm very grateful that you're a part of my team, MA. Thank you. You know, there are so many things we've been working on, quite a few things for the last 6 months that really come to fruition in the next 6 weeks. So I hope everybody will really stay tuned. And if they're not signed up for your newsletter, that's where things get announced and, you know, where some really great strides are put out there to your public at large.
So you can sign up for the newsletter, which is free and comes out once a month. It's only a one-page newsletter on my website on the homepage at allaccessgroup.com.
You know, let's tell them where the sign-up is because it's subtle. You know, Kelli's very understated. That newsletter sign-up is way at the top of the website at the homepage, and it says VIP access. It's just this little box, and all you do is click it and enter your information, and you get onto this fabulous list, and Kelli shares great innovative tools, some really good information, some needle movers, and some invitations to some of these things we've been talking about. So thank you for your time today, Kelli, and I will look forward to hearing, even as part of your team, all the great things that come to pass. This has been really wonderful.
Well, thank you so much, Emma. I've really enjoyed this as well, and frankly, it's something we hope to offer our listeners as kind of an update as we're evolving the business a little more often. So thank you very much, and thank you to our listeners for joining us tonight.
Yeah, and to all of them who have become part of your family of 1 million downloads.
Once again, we're very grateful for how this has taken off with everybody's support.
Oh, yeah. All right, then. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you to our special guest this evening, Kelli Richards.
Thank you so much. Good night, everybody.
Bye.